Hey everyone, welcome back to Big Strong Book. I'm Reed, and today we're going to be going over Chapter 2 of Stone of Farewell, Masks and Shadows. So we begin this chapter, roughly the first, 40% of it follows Daernoth's perspective, as Daernoth, Joshua, Vorsheva, Strangyard, Ekin Kalndir, Towser, Sangfugal, kind of that whole group of maybe 10 or 11 people they've escaped Nagelmund, and they're kind of making their way right now towards destination unknown. They're just they're just trying to get as far as they can. And they had been set upon by diggers, or the Buchan, and one of the members of their party, I believe at this point, is gravely injured. It says this girl, she had fled with them from the residence and had cried quietly all the long way up and down the stile. Cried, that is, until the diggers reached her. They had clung to her throat like terriers to a boar, even after their bodies had been sheared loose by the blades of her would-be rescuers. Now she cried no longer. She was very still. She was very, very still, holding precariously to life. So then as they're kind of settling in for a bit, they hear a voice out of the darkness. A voice saying, "Help me." It's just at the night, as they heard that voice from the dark, the night seemed to grow deeper still, as though the blackness might roll over them and obliterate their feeble campfire. And eventually this man comes in. He's speaking the Westerly tongue, and so of course they don't know who this man is at first. And then Daernoth says, "I think I know who it is. It's the pikeman who came with us as a guard when you met your brother in the tent before the walls." And they think his name is Austrael. And Austrael says, "Help, it hurts me." And Ainskaldir kind of goes up and holds up his knife. And he says, "Look." He feels no fire, and he has a slash in his throat that would kill any man. And so then they look, they get some fire on it, and they look and see that all the way from ear to ear practically is a massive wound, so he should be dead. And then they kind of try to hold him down. And then Austrael speaks kind of this unhuman voice. And he says, "So, this would have been much the easier way, but a swift death that comes in sleep is denied to you now." "What are you?" Joshua said. "What have you done to this poor man?" The thing chuckled almost pleasantly, but for the awful emptiness of its voice. "I did nothing to this creature. It was already dead, of course, or nearly so. It was not hard to find dead mortals in the ruins of your freehold, Prince of Rubble. I'm one of the masters of your castle and of your ultimate death. I owe no mortal answers. If not for the bearded one's keen eye, your throats would have been all quietly slit tonight, saving us much time and trouble. When your fleeing spirits go squealing at last into the endless between from which we ourselves escaped, it will be by our doing. We are the Red Hand, Knights of the Storm King, and he is the master of all." And then the body just kind of collapses in on itself and dies. So then they decide to bury him, but cutting off arms and legs, because he was dead already. They don't want to give him any chance of being able to reach them. And then we jump to Kadrak and Miriamel, and they're on this ship as we saw them, within images kind of flashing through Simon's mind at the end of, or I mean, literally from Miriamel's perspective at the end of the Dragon Bone chair, but then also Simon had a vision of her on a boat as well. So their captain's name is old Gilsgiath, and they are coming closer to Anis Pelipe, which is a city on the island of Perdruin, which is just off the course of Naban. So that's already where they're at. And Gilsgiath tells Cadrak, we dock tonight and remain 2 days. And he says you can leave any time before we hoist sail for Krenir. And Cadrak tries to reassure Miriamel and says, "Oh, we'll be going off soon." But he wanted to kind of keep the crew of that ship kind of unawares of what they were doing. Basically Cadrak is making the captain think that they're just going to be off on shore for a little while and then come back, but they're planning to stay in Perdruin. Interesting seeing Miriamel's perspective of reaching Perdruin. 1,000 lights gleamed through the fog, small as fireflies, making the great rocks sparkle in the night. As Gilsgiath's cargo hauler glided in through the harbor passages, the island continued to rise above them, its mountainous back a wedge of darkness pushing ever upward, blocking out even the mist-cloaked sky. She had not set foot on Perdruin since she had been a small girl, but she had felt in a way as if she were returning home. Her mother, Halissa, had brought her here when Miriamel had been very young, as part of a visit to Halissa's sister, the Duchess Nessalanta and Naban. They had stopped in Anis Pelipe to pay a courtesy call on Count Strawe. And she kind of recounts in her head of how her mother died, how Joshua had returned her mother, taken Halissa to join Elias, who was in the field with his army. That was the journey that crippled Joshua. And she wondered where was High King Elias at this moment. Even now, her father was laying siege to Naglamund, venting his terrible rage on the walls of Joshua's keep. And the kitchen boy Simon, with his red hair and awkward, well-meaning ways. She felt a pang of sorrow as she thought about him. He and the little troll had gone into the trackless north, perhaps gone forever. And Cadrak goes off for a bit and finds out some useful things. And they go off together into the town. And let me just see here. As they continue to go, she says, "I must eat something." And Cadrak had lied to the ship's captain, telling them that they were just going to a abbey, but he lied. And they have the Midsummer Festival, so this kind of places it within the timeline of the end of the Dragon Bone Chair when Midsummer's Eve happened, or this is their Midsummer Festival. And they're in a tavern called the Red Dolphin. And he sends her off to find some bread and cheese. Cadrak sends Miriamel off. She says, "I have to keep my hood on. Better that someone recognize. Better that, keeping your hood on, than someone recognizing my face." And as they're eating, a mask comes by them. The mask that just is the mask of death. And the person behind the mask tells them, "You come with me." and the person says that they have a knife. So they go, and it said they were met by two other figures who moved out of a doorway. One wore a blue mask and the stylized garb of a sailor. The other was dressed as a rustic peasant in an oversized hat. And as they continue, they go into an arched gateway, go into a courtyard, and then they kind of go into a shadowy room. And the man he has the mask of, I believe, a fox. And he says, "Now that you know who I am," he began, "we do not know you, sir, and you have mistaken us." And the old man says, "Oh, come, you and I have not met before, my dear fellow, but the princess and I are old friends. As a matter of fact, she was my guest once, long, long ago." He is Count Strawway. And he says, "Perduin's master, and beginning the moment you two touched foot on the rock over which I rule, your master as well." So, Cadrak and Miriamel in potential danger? I don't know. We'll see. So that's all I've got for chapter 2. So this chapter of Stone of Farewell. Let me know what you think, and I will see you guys next time.